So the third test we're doing is the sit and reach test. This tests your flexibility in your hips and your lower back and your legs. Now, given I'm committed to having strong aerobic fitness and core strength, having flexibility in these areas will support my progress with these goals. You want to ensure that you don't have any lower back or hip injuries before doing this test. And if you have any form of these injuries, see a health professional before doing this test. So traditionally you would use a Wells and Dillon sit and reach bench. However, we're going to improvise by using basically a measuring tape. We're using a measuring tape with some blue tack to be able to mark where it is that we reach to. It's a bit easier if you've got another person doing it with you, but we're improvising, so we're using blue tack. So it's really measuring the length at which you can stretch. So for this test, you want to make sure the person has warmed up. So it's one of the reasons that we didn't do this test first. So you want to do this after you've done a little bit of movement first. You also want to avoid jerky movements so that you don't injure yourself. If it's easier, you can do this test more than once to get an accurate measure and get used to the motion. So what you want to do is you have your shoes and your socks off. So take mine off and put your feet. Now I need some kind of footboard, which I didn't realize. So let me just quickly grab one. What I'm going to do is instead, I'm going to put it against a piece of tape. I'll put that piece of tape right here so that I know, so that I know how far I've gone. There we go. Excellent. So then you want to lean as far as forward as possible. Exhale and hold the stretch a couple of seconds and then relax and breathe normally. So we've got to make sure, so we've got our tape measure here. So we'll put our feet right at the edge of that tape just so that we know where we're measuring. Excellent. So you put your heels right up against the edge. Excellent. Now, what you do is you then lean forward as far as, now I'm not very flexible, just as a heads up, really not flexible. So this will be interesting. So you lean forward as far as you can. I've reached my toes, thank goodness. And then, so hang on, let me just read this. So lean forward as possible, exhale and hold the stretch for a couple of seconds. Excellent. Then relax and breathe normally. So you ensure that both hands are in line with each other and fingers contact the measuring tape. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to work because oh, there we go. Yeah, it will. Okay, so make sure that my foot is lined right up to the 0. So the way that this works is if your feet can get further than your foot, it means that you're more flexible. If it goes before your foot, it means you're not as flexible. So the foot is where the 0 goes. All right, so, and you do the best out of 3 attempts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just line up my feet again, make sure that they're all lined up. And then we go as far forward as we can. Oh, and we mark it on the blue tack. I did get just past my foot by about 2 centimeters, but I'll be able to see the mark when we get the measure. All right, that was my first attempt. Now you want to take a deep breath and exhale. Oh, I got a little bit further. So that's why we do it a few times, because once you've stretched a little bit, it'll help you get a little bit further. Now that time I got about 3 centimeters, which is great. I'm proud of myself. Yay. All right, so final one, and we go. Nah, it was the same length as the second time. maybe a millimeter longer. All right, so take the best score out of 3 attempts. So mine was 1, 2, 3 at 42 millimeters, so just over 4 centimeters. So we record that. So I'm doing it in millimeters. 42 millimeters. Great. I'd love to hear in the comments what you got. Now, it does mean that I have fairly low flexibility, and it could definitely be improved, but it was actually better than what I thought it was going to be. So negative scores before the toes indicate low flexibility. If you can reach at or past your toes, then you're considered to have good flexibility. Woohoo! So here's the thing, the scale isn't the best measure, as body shape, everyone's body and shape are different. So for example, some people have longer torsos and shorter legs, and this test will be easier for them. If you have proportionately longer legs to torso, or if there's extra weight around the midsection, the measure will be lower. So your body shape and proportions should be taken into account. So this is why we record the measurement, because we can take the measurement again, as I've said, within a few weeks or months and compare your results to yourself. It helps towards measuring where you're at with your goals. This is the main thing. Measure against yourself, not against anyone else, because then that's improving on your own goals. So some exercises you can do to improve this measure are yoga, Pilates, or just stretches on your own. You know, just simple stretches, stretching out your legs. Doing stretches is always a good idea anyway. Having flexibility means you're less likely to tear a muscle and will assist you with supporting ligaments and muscle tone. Great, so that's test 3. Thanks.